out as the 76ers president of basketball operations. ESPN reports head coach Nick Nurse will stay on, though, for his fourth season. Morey has been running the 76ers front office for the past 6 seasons. The decision to part ways comes after Philadelphia was swept by the Knicks in the second round of the playoffs. He pulled off several big moves to mixed success, trading for James Harden, signing Paul George, extending Joel Embiid for $193 million, and drafting promising rookie VJ Edgecombe in last year's draft. Bob Myers, a 4-time champion with the Warriors, will lead the search for a new executive and run basketball ops in the interim. And with that, we bring in CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez and also a Sixers observer, as he likes to call himself. What's your reaction, John, to Daryl Morey being out as the president of basketball operations for the Sixers?
Yeah, not surprising, but a little unconventional in the way that the Sixers are doing this here, because I thought that there was a possibility that they'd move on from Nick Nurse, but they're keeping their head coach Nick Nurse and getting rid of their general manager Daryl Morey, which is kind of reversed, right? Generally, you would say, okay, well, if you're going to bring in a new general manager, you'd want that new general manager to pick the head coach as well. But in this instance, I guess Bob Myers, who's leading the search for the new general manager, has decided that Nick Nurse wasn't the problem, that Daryl Morey had to go, and that whoever Bob Myers installs as the new general manager will necessarily have to be okay with Nick Nurse at least for one more season. Now, when Bob Myers was brought in to run Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment Group, which is the entity that owns not just the Philadelphia 76ers, but also the Devils in the NHL, the Commanders in the NFL, Crystal Palace of the Premier League, a lot of people thought, uh-oh, this could be bad news for Daryl Morey, because as we all know, Bob Myers has a long history of running and being successful in the NBA with the Golden State Warriors. He's a 2-time executive of the year in the NBA. He won 4 championships with the Golden State Warriors. They were the last franchise to have back-to-back titles. So he's got a lot of pedigree here. And I thought, okay, well, Daryl Morey, is he really going to be in danger? And it turns out, yes. Now, some people also think, like, could Bob Myers install himself as general manager? But I can't imagine he would want to run this franchise for any number of reasons, but I suppose that's a possibility.
It is a possibility, but I don't think he wants to add more stress, okay? It was already stressful, right, with the Warriors even winning all those championships. You go to the Sixers where there's a lot more, or there's more dysfunction, perhaps? Yeah, probably not. But with Nick Nurse, do you feel confident? I know you're a little confused about, them deciding to hold on to him, but do you feel confident that he can get this team where they're trying to go, which is to, right, the conference finals and the NBA finals and eventually a championship?
No. Confident and the Sixers are rarely ever in the same sentence. And I don't think that it's necessarily Nick Nurse's fault, the way that they crashed out against the Knicks. Certainly there's plenty of blame to go around, and they did beat the Celtics in the first round for the first time since 1982. But Nick Nurse, I thought it was a good hire when they got Nick Nurse, because he did win a championship and he did a great job with the Toronto Raptors in 2019, but he hasn't been as effective as I thought he would be with the Sixers. He actually has a worse record, Chris, than his predecessor, Doc Rivers, who was much maligned as the head coach
of
not just the Philadelphia 76ers, but of the Bucks and the Clippers before that and whatever. So Nick Nurse somehow has not achieved what Doc Rivers achieved, which is not a great thing to say. But this franchise needs a lot of help. I mean, Daryl Morey, look, if you want to knock Daryl Morey for the job that he did with the Philadelphia 76ers, there's plenty of reason to do that, right? I mean, like, they missed the playoffs altogether one time. They lost in the first round once, and then 4 other times they crashed out in the second round, including this season. And Daryl Morey's the architect of those teams. So, yeah, a change had to be made here.
All right, well, we'll see if the change will lead to promising success and glory for your 76ers, John Gonzalez. You know what? I'm trying to give you optimism, man.
Not going to happen.
Okay, that's fine. All right, you can be pessimistic. I'll be optimistic over here in Stanford. Always appreciate talking about with you, man. Take care. So here is how the 76ers offseason looks as of now. So Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre Jr., and Andre Drummond going to be free agents, and they'll have about $72 million in cap space, 17th in the league, and they'll have the 22nd overall pick in this draft, which is loaded. But yeah, 22nd, maybe won't be able to get some of those top-tier guys that a lot of people are salivating over.
For another season. Then there are questions surrounding other superstars and their teams like Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, and Kawhi Leonard. At last check, we've got 24 teams now active in offseason mode, with the rest still chasing that Larry O'Brien trophy. So let's start with Kawhi Leonard out in L.A., only because they also get a top 5 pick thanks to that Pacers trade, Ashley. So then the question becomes, do you use that to try to pair with Kawhi Leonard? Do they use that to win now? What do you think the Clippers are doing right now?
Don't think the pick's going to be enough to win now. I think that when you look at the state of the Western Conference, a lot of talent, a lot of youth, right? I think that you're going to explore both options. I think you're going to see if there is a potential draftee that you could pair with Kawhi Leonard on this last X amount of years of his career. And I think that that is also dependent on if they don't explore a trade for Kawhi Leonard beforehand. Now, Kawhi is also one of those players, you're just not going to trade him anywhere. You're just not going to trade him for anything. There are rumors that the Golden State Warriors could be at play because Kawhi and Steph Curry together would give both of those players really the best shot at one last chance to do it, right? I think that the Golden State Warriors, with Steve Kerr coming back, and knowing that this is probably the last few years of Steph's career, he wants to coach Steph and only Steph. He made that abundantly clear. And if you're the Golden State Warriors, you're trying to give Steph the best team he can possibly maybe not win a championship with, but at least compete with. So Kawhi's a name that's been circulating, but the Clippers do want to get younger. We knew that when James Harden left to Cleveland, they brought Darius Garland in. It was every insider reported that the goal of the Clippers after the failed experiment of Paul George and Kawhi and ultimately James Harden when he joined was that they need to rebuild, and they're going to rebuild with Darius Garland at the center, get younger. So it's a combination of two things. If you don't explore a trade with Kawhi Leonard beforehand, you're probably going to get a player who can match up well with him, but he's not going to be your focal point when you're going through the draft process.
If I made you GM for this draft, what would you do with the Clippers right now, I think?
Definitely get younger. Definitely my idea would be, look, if you're going to make a trade, let's say with the Golden State Warriors, I don't know if they have any pieces that really excite you enough in terms of rebuilding with those pieces, them being part of the rebuild. So I would keep Kawhi Leonard. We saw what he did this playoffs. We saw what he did this regular season. It's probably the healthiest season of his career in recent memory. So he's still a productive player on both ends of the game. I'm definitely using that draft pick to get someone to pair with Darius Garland to really start thinking about the future of the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi's no longer my focus.
When it does come to Kawhi, there's another team out there that we're going to talk about that has been linked to potentially wanting him. And we're going to talk about the Rockets because this is another interesting team this offseason. You've also mentioned Giannis a handful of times. So when it comes to the Rockets, are they looking for another big name, a splashy move?
They should be looking for a point guard. That's what they should be looking for. They shouldn't be looking for a big splashy name. I don't know if Giannis is even, the Houston Rockets are even on Giannis's radar. Giannis has made it, I want to say clear, but he hasn't, but semi-clear in
Giannis-like fashion.
In Giannis language of where he would go. And he's made it very clear that he likes the East Coast because it's close to Greece. Now, he also said he doesn't like Boston, but likes Miami and loves New York. So I don't really know what's going on there. But I think that I would be upset if I saw Kevin Durant leave Houston, just because it's don't do it, KD. Don't give anybody any ammunition. I think that this Houston Rockets team could have been a lot better if they had a point guard and if they had a healthy Kevin Durant. I don't think this team is in such disarray that you have to go star hunting. I think it's unfortunate that at free agency, or rather at the trade deadline, they did not land a point guard. I think that would have made all the difference for them in the postseason after losing Fred VanVleet to injury. I don't think the Houston Rockets are really in this dire situation that they have to make this drastic move. There are small moves they have to make, but I like what they have in terms of their young core, and I think a healthy Kevin Durant always makes you competitive. And again, the point guard position, I would definitely entertain looking for a younger point guard because Fred VanVleet's not going to be part of your forever. But the Houston Rockets are not in that bad of a shape, if you ask me.
I looked to see if there were flights to Greece from Houston. And it's a one-stop.
Yeah, I don't think
That's not too bad.
He's flying
flying private
He's
anyway.
not
That's
flying,
true. That's true.
commercial.
It's also interesting.
Can you imagine?
I know, right? That would be there.
I don't even know if there's a seat long enough for him.
Houston already went through one big overhaul last offseason. Don't know if they're going to do it again. Then there's the Sixers, who surprised many by coming back against Boston. But now offseason questions are looming, Ashley, because they've got some big names and big contracts. Joel Embiid saying, man, we could have done some things different this year to help set up the future. How do you think it all shakes out in Philly?
I think Philly's a much better team than people will have memory of this postseason when healthy. But that's the catalyst, when healthy. And it seems like they're never fully healthy in some way, shape, or form. The unfortunate reality for Philly is their hands are tied. Joel Embiid has zero value on the trade market because of his chronic and very unfortunate history with injuries. Then you have Paul George, who had a decent showing this postseason, but he's not going to garner a lot on the free market. You're not getting rid of Maxey, and you're not getting rid of Edgecombe. Those guys are your future. You're kind of stuck with everybody in this picture. You can make some moves on the margins. Obviously, Kyle Lowry is more than likely going to retire. Maybe you can make some other moves with some of those, lower tier players. When you talk about this core four, this is kind of what you have.
Is that enough?
Here's the thing. If you make some moves on the margins and you get a healthy Joel Embiid, but that is such a huge stickler, and there's such a huge asterisk with that. A healthy Joel Embiid makes this team drastically better. I'm a firm believer, look, what you saw against the Knicks just had everything that they had and then some. What you saw against Boston, I believe that team can show up in the regular season consistently. The Philadelphia 76ers were much better than where they were seated. They were plagued by injury, and that was the unfortunate reality of their season. I think that because you don't have an option to do much of anything, you kind of got to ride the wave, and I hate to say it, but trust the process, even if the process is kind of dead. This is all you have, so your hands are just kind of stuck.
For teams that are always looking to make moves, because unfortunately that is the case.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse, are they under the microscope at all right now?
Oh, Daryl Morey's job is definitely on the line. I don't think Nick Nurse. I think Nick Nurse did a great job with what he was given. Again, you didn't have a healthy team. You took down Boston in a very surprising fashion, 3 games in a row. I think Nick Nurse has proven himself as a coach in this league. I think that the trust in Nick Nurse is there in the locker room. He has the relationship with the guys on the court, and that's sometimes the most important aspect because other things will work it out. Daryl Morey, though, I wouldn't be surprised if Daryl Morey's job is on the line and you hear something about that in the next few months, because it can't be everybody's fault but Daryl's. Daryl, I don't know. Something's not clicking there.
All right, Ash, certainly appreciate it. Taking a look at 3 teams with decisions to make this offseason. We appreciate you here on set. There's a look at the Sixers' playoff history. Again, the past 5 seasons, they've tried to break through, get to the NBA Finals, but it has been tough sledding, to Ash's point, with the health of Joel Embiid.